A decade ago, I thought I'd built a family worth shielding with every fiber of my soul. I was mistaken. Only I was truly in the battle. Now at 42, I've learned harsh truths through bitter experience. 12 years prior, I crossed paths with Ellen while opening my second restaurant in Charleston. A widow, she was nurturing her 15-year-old daughter, Claire, who possessed a keen mind and a subtle talent for cutting others down without ever raising her tone. I mistook her sharp wit for a lure, not a warning. Last month, we held an intimate dinner at our home to celebrate the 10th anniversary of my first endeavor, Tidewater Bistro, which had grown from a humble waterside cafe into one of South Carolina's finest dining destinations. My parents, siblings, and dearest friends, those who'd seen me pour my heart into creating something from nothing, gathered around. The night was meant to honor my achievement, but it unraveled into something far different. The dining room glowed with warm light, filled with joyful chatter, the clink of wine glasses, and stories from days gone by. Everything seemed flawless until my brother, Nate, a little loose from his third drink, turned to Claire with a playful smile. "So, Claire, what's the plan with that big tuition he's paying for? The world's yours to seize." Her eyes stayed glued to her phone, fingers dancing across the screen as if I didn't exist. "No idea," she muttered, her tone dripping with disinterest. "Maybe law or something business-related. Definitely not waiting tables or cooking fish." The room stilled. My fork paused in midair. My father's face tightened, and my mother pressed her napkin to her lips. "What did you say?" I asked, my voice low but trembling. Claire looked up, her expression cool, almost detached. "I meant, not everyone wants to spend their life serving food. Some of us aim higher." Her words sliced through me, each one a sharp sting to my core. Before I could find words, Ellen's gaze sharpened with reproach. "Don't talk to her like that," she snapped. "She's not your daughter, remember? Don't try to parent her. She's just being honest. Maybe you should try it sometime." My face grew numb, the blood draining from it. A heavy silence smothered the room, extinguishing its warmth. Even Nate, never short on words, stared at his plate. My parents looked away, their unease evident. I managed a tight, forced smile, the kind that hides a storm brewing within. The next morning, after Ellen and Claire left for their so-called girls' day, I sat at my desk, coffee untouched, laptop screen glowing, my emotions crystallizing into cold resolve. For months, something had felt off. Whispered phone calls, strange charges on our credit card, new dresses I didn't remember purchasing. I'd dismissed it as suspicion, but now I needed truth. I opened our joint bank account records, and the betrayal lay bare. Hotel reservations every Tuesday and Thursday, always during their supposed errand runs. Costly purchases, jewelry, perfumes, that never reached our home. Nearly $40,000 funneled into an unknown account over 6 months. Then I checked the front door's motion camera, one Ellen didn't know existed. It showed my neighbor, Mark, entering our house 15 minutes after I left for work. He had a key. He stayed for hours, leaving with the guilty look of a man who'd crossed a line. My hands shook but no tears came. I felt hollow. By noon I'd taken action. Claire's tuition was terminated, credit cards locked, her car, titled in my name, sold. The house, safely in my trust, was untouchable. I directed my lawyer to prepare an eviction notice. By evening, their world was collapsing, and they had no idea. That night, they returned, laughing, arms full of shopping bags. I sat at the dining table, where we'd dined the previous evening, an envelope in my hand. Ellen stopped short when she saw it. "What's that?" she asked. I slid it across the table. "Your eviction notice. You have 7 days to leave." Her face twisted in shock. "What are you talking about?" "The hotel bookings," I said evenly. "The hidden account. Mark's key. The deception." Claire's confusion turned to defiance. "You can't just cut off my tuition. That's my future." "No," I said, standing slowly. "That was my money, and I'm done spending it on someone who thinks my life's work is worthless." Ellen surged forward, her face red with fury. "You can't do this." "I can," I replied, my voice calm. "Last night you were right, Ellen. She's not my daughter, and you're not my wife. You're just visitors who stayed too long in a home I built." The silence that followed was different. No anger, no shouting, just their fear. I felt its weight and savored it. 2 weeks later, the house was quiet, peaceful. I sold the restaurant chain to a partner and opened a new place, smaller, simpler, truly my own. I hired young people from rough backgrounds, those who needed a genuine chance. One evening, Nate visited, placing a whiskey bottle on the counter. "You're holding up better than most would," he said. I shrugged. Serving people reveals their true colors. You see how they treat those they think are beneath them. My family was no exception. He raised his glass to new beginnings, and I clinked mine against his, to finally seeing people for who they are. The house still held traces of a life that wasn't truly mine. Ellen's faint perfume clung to the curtains. Her forgotten coffee mug sat on the counter, and photos where I smiled as if I belonged stared back. I could have destroyed them, but I kept them as silent reminders of a life built on delusion. 3 weeks later, my phone buzzed. Ellen was suing, claiming unlawful eviction, emotional distress, and mismanagement of shared assets. I almost laughed. My lawyer, Victor, a former culinary school friend who turned to law after burning out, leaned back with a grin. "She's got no case. You have bank records, video evidence, proof." It wasn't about money anymore. It was about humiliation. Ellen wanted to hurt me for cutting her off, and she got a fleeting taste of vengeance. Charleston's gossip mill spun, turning my pain into stories. The chef betrayed by his wife, the man who cast out his family. But gossip fades when you ignore it. I sold the house and bought a simple home by the marsh, just enough for me and my solitude. I rebranded my restaurant chain as Ember and Tide, a tribute to lessons hard learned. Sometimes, burning away the past purifies. I began teaching weekly at a local culinary school, not for money but for meaning. One student, Lena, 27, was all determination and raw talent, though haunted by self-doubt. She reminded me of my younger self, before I understood ambition's sharp edges. She'd stay late after class, seeking feedback, sharing tales of her mother's failed cafe and her 3 jobs to survive. I listened more than I spoke, something Ellen never did. One evening as we cleaned up, Lena asked, "Does the anger ever go away?" I paused, wiping a pristine counter. "Not completely," I said quietly. "You just learn to harness it, to cook with the fire instead of letting it burn you down." She offered a small smile. "That's almost poetic." I shrugged. "Or just what happens when life overcooks you a few times." Our laughter felt genuine, the first in months. News filtered back about Ellen's decline. Mark, the neighbor, disappeared when the money ran out. Ellen tried living with him, but his wife found out, and he fled the state. Claire was dropped from university when tuition payments ceased. She drifted between friends' couches, working part-time, learning the world doesn't coddle arrogance. They ended up in a cramped one-bedroom on the city's outskirts. A humbling drop for Ellen, who once swore she'd never settle. I didn't gloat over their struggles, not exactly, but I felt a quiet fairness in no longer being their tool. A year later, Ember and Tide flourished, not just in profits but in heart. A place where strangers became regulars and laughter healed old scars. Lena graduated at the top of her class. When I offered her a sous chef position, her eyes brimmed with tears. She worked relentlessly, experimenting late into the night. In the quiet of closing hours, we'd talk. Not of love, not yet, but of life, trust, and rising from ruins. One night, Lena asked softly, "Do you miss them? Your family?" I thought for a long moment. "I miss the idea of them," I said finally. "The version I believed in, not the reality." Her glistening eyes held a wordless understanding. Nearly 2 years after that fateful dinner, Ellen appeared at Ember and Tide. It was a calm afternoon. I was reviewing invoices at the bar when her reflection caught my eye in the mirror. She looked worn, diminished, her old confidence gone. "James," she said, her voice soft, lacking its usual bite. "Can we talk?" I pointed to a table by the window. She sat, stirring her water, hands unsteady, no jewelry or designer flair, just a woman stripped of pretense. "I'm sorry," she said, eyes damp, "for what I said that night, for everything. I thought putting you down would make me feel bigger." I studied her, seeing genuine regret mixed with her old cunning. "I forgave you long ago," I said quietly, "but forgiving doesn't mean forgetting." She winced. I don't want your money. I just needed to say it. I'm trying to mend things with Claire. She's working. We're getting by. Good, I said, standing. Keep going. She looked up, startled. That's it. After everything. I gave a faint smile. We never had anything real, Ellen. We shared a temporary comfort until it dried up, and then you revealed your true self. She reached out, her voice breaking. You'll regret letting me go. I paused, looked back, and said softly, I did once. Not anymore. I returned to my kitchen, my haven, my peace, and didn't look back. 2 years later, when people ask about failure, I tell them this. It's not losing everything that breaks you. It's realizing you were holding on to nothing all along. Lena now leads Ember and Tide as head chef, her passion matching my own. We've built something real, grounded in respect, not wealth or facade. We don't label what we are. We don't need to. Some connections grow quietly, like embers that never fade. Sometimes I pass my old neighborhood. The house looks unchanged but smaller, its former captive long gone. Above my new desk hangs a framed quote. Sometimes, losing everything shows you what was never yours. It reminds me that not all endings are losses. Some are the universe making room for something better. My peace doesn't come from a love that lingers, but from loving myself enough to let go of what never deserved to stay.